one small thing that you need to know is when to actually apply the nodal analysis to analyze the circuit and when to apply the mesh analysis, because these two are very amazing techniques that can help you analyze the circuit very deeply, and you can find all the currents and all the voltages, and they're virtually the same too, just the duals of each other. But how do you actually compare these two? So it's very simple. So the first thing is just count the number of nodes and the number of meshes. So this actually specifies the number of equations you would have to write. So if there are like 15 nodes and there are just two meshes, it would make much more sense to use the mesh analysis because you would have to just solve two equations. The second thing is the current sources or the voltage sources, because as you can clearly see that even though it might seem at first that when you introduce voltage sources in nodal analysis or current sources in mesh analysis, that would make things more complicated, but in reality that makes things even more easier. For example, we saw in the last example how in mesh analysis, if there is a current source at the periphery of the circuit, that makes things very easy because you do not have to write a KVL for that mesh. So this is what you need to observe too, that how many current sources are there and where they are placed, and how many voltage sources are there and where they are placed. So in most cases, it would be very easy to clearly see which one to apply. And but otherwise, if you use the other technique, if you use either of these two techniques, you will get the same answers, but the only thing that matters is the time. Sometimes the nodal analysis would be a little more time consuming and sometimes the mesh analysis would be a little more time consuming, but the answers yielded would be exactly the same. So these are just two factors that you can consider when you are applying any technique on a circuit, and I hope you find your most favorite technique.